Welcome to Yury Experience, and today I want to talk to you about right and wrong. Throughout human history and also nowadays, a lot of people are talking about what is right, what is wrong, how people shall live, how people shall behave, and how they shall not do anything. Because basically they try to find a proper way of living. All of us are doing our best to find the best way of living. And during our best way of living, we try to do the right thing all of the time. But what is right and what is wrong, these words are not a constant. These words are variables that change throughout our history. At some point, slavery was good, slavery was okay, slavery was everywhere. Okay, not everywhere, but in Europe and also in North America, also in Africa. It depends. In some parts of the world, slavery never was really a thing, but that's a different topic. Anyway, at some time, slavery was kind of okay. Nowadays, slavery, at least again, in European countries, in North America and stuff like that. Not in all the countries nowadays. Still, slavery is not okay. Just saying. And I already did a video about fairness. Why, in my personal opinion, fairness is really subjective and is almost not possible to achieve this universal fairness. Let's today discuss right and wrong. Are they things somewhat universal or are they subjective? And if you know my channel, you know what I will say. They're highly subjective. But okay, let's discuss it. Let's start from the opposite side. Let's start from this idea there is an objective way, more or less objective, maybe somewhat objective, maybe objective for one country, for one community or whatnot. One objective way to decide what is right and what is wrong. So what would it be? What would be like this whole idea that is right? When you want to know what is right, what is wrong, you look over there or you ask that person or you ask that people, those people, and they tell you that is right, that is wrong. What is this construct that stays on the top and says, okay, that is right, that is wrong, live with it. The first possible construct which could be on the top of this whole idea of right or wrong would be law. Most of the people would say you that law is the closest way of living your life in a right way, in a good way, in a righteous way. But I will tell you no, you actually not. It kinda is, but also not, because some of the things that are prohibited are literally very bad for society or for humanity or for some people. For example, you shall not kill people. It's kinda prohibited by the law. And yeah, please don't. That's what I don't need to tell you anything else. Please don't kill people, because if you kill people, there are less people, which is like a great question whether it is a problem or not, but please don't kill people. That is written in the law. But there are also a lot of laws, and especially people from USA would agree with me, which don't make any sense. So would breaking these laws be a wrong thing to do or a right thing to do? And would breaking the law in order to help society, in order to help a specific person, would it be a right thing to do or a wrong thing to do? Would be, for example, killing. Would be killing a person who is actively trying, staying right in front of you and trying to kill a very close person to you, would be killing of that person a right thing to do or a wrong thing to do? From law's perspective, in most of occasions, it depends obviously, but depending on the law and the country, it is not a very good thing to do. It may still bring you in trouble. Yes, it was kind of self-defense or defense of other person, but by killing that person, you maybe did way more that your self-defense actually allowed you. Which is why law is a good thing. I do think that laws are good for society, that laws provide a lot of value, but we shall not forget that laws were also created by people, and most of these people had some idea in mind, some interest in mind, which is why some laws profit to some people more than they profit to other people, and vice versa. That is why, in summary, although I do think that laws are a good starting point for the thing of right or wrong, but I wouldn't decide, or I wouldn't agree with the point that laws is everything that you should look at when you decide whether something is right or wrong. In my personal opinion, laws are just not personal enough. They cannot be specified for specific person, specific case and whatnot. That is why in a lot of situations, a jury or judges, they look on the cases in the past and they decide based on that. Because a lot of occasions there is no really right or wrong. There's maybe it is somehow how we think it is, but maybe it's not. And yeah, laws are not really objective by themselves. I don't agree with this idea laws is what is written in the laws is right and everything else is wrong. I do not agree with that, and if you do, that's your point, that's your way of thinking and your way of life. The second example will be a little bit shorter because basically the most of the things I covered in the first part with laws, and second examples is ethics and moral laws. And at the end of the day, the reason why I don't think that these laws or these rules of society are the right and top rules in order to understand what is right and what is wrong, because they too dependent on the society, they were created by the society, they profit some groups of the society and don't profit other groups, and also the ideas change. Example with slavery is highly dependent on this example with ethics and moral laws, because it was ethical at some point to have a slave. It was okay, it was fine, but nowadays it is unethical, and rightfully so. But yeah, would you say that that is why moral or ethics shall be your highest value? It shall be to the degree. Again, I wouldn't say that you shall throw away all the ethics and all the moral laws and just ignore them. No. But when you listen to them, do it consciously. Understand that these are like basic rules. They are like this and this, but there is a lot of in between. There are a lot of situations which these laws, these rules don't cover. And again, please don't forget that all of these rules are highly dependent on the past of the person, on the experience of the person. Especially ethics and moral laws are different, for example, for me and for like average person in Germany. I lived in Russia, I lived in Ukraine, I have different standpoint, I have different 0 point for a lot of problems. But people in Germany are different, and it is okay, it is fine. But please don't forget it. You, me, both of us. And maybe there are other examples that describe what would be a top top construct to describe right and wrong be, what would be this construct, but I don't believe that this construct will cover all the situations. At the end of the day, all of the rights and all of the wrongs are personal decisions of you, of me, of other person, of that person over there. Every person decides for himself, themselves, or whatnot, what is a right thing to do, what is a wrong thing to do in a specific situation, in a specific point of time, and with specific people, with all of the specific context things that provide influence on the situation. The more context you have, the more context you add, the more people you add, the more environment you add, the more you need to think whether what you are doing is a right or a wrong thing, because a lot of things will be really subjective. And the person who is staying right next to you sees completely same situation, will comprehend it completely different. And that is how we are as human beings. Because all of us have different experience and have different way of thinking and different level of knowledge and different whatnot. We are all a little bit but different. It can go as far as just describing a household. I have my rules for my household and I decide what is right and what is wrong for my household. But when some friends come over, so they ask me how my household works, so they know how it works, so they don't disturb my household. And if or when, I hope it will happen, when I will start living with some partner of sort, I hope that both of us will decide on some set of rules that works for our household. Because my rules will be specific in some form. Some things are for me important, other things are for me completely unimportant. For example, you don't know how messy this room actually is, you just see the good part of it. But another person, my partner for example, that person can decide completely different. And for that person, a messy room will be like really critical, impossible, no, nada. And then we need to decide how it works, starting from that point. But that person's right, how household shall be done right, and my how household shall be done right, may be completely different. And that is completely fine. And although I talked to you a lot about what is right, what is wrong, and why these concepts are not really that easy, there are still societal expectations. There are still these ideas in society that that thing or that idea or that movement is completely and inherently right and everything else is wrong. And vice versa. There are some ideas that are completely wrong and it cannot be right at any point in time or view or geography or whatnot. And what I ask you to do, or beg you to do, please, 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 do it consciously. Yes, there are some ideas that you think are right. Are you sure that these things will be right also to the person next to you? And even if you do think so, do you think that you shall push your ideas on the other person? Because your right may be completely different than that person's right. And that is a really huge question. Which right has more right? Which right has more right to exist in this world? Yes, there are some things that I would agree that are not really good things, and we shall really fight for these things to become right everywhere. But there are also a lot of things that are kind of right, and society accepted these things as right, but they're really subjective. Don't jump to conclusions just because society tells you so. Be conscious about your life. That's all of what I'm talking about on this channel. Well, not all, completely all, but the most on this channel I talk about being conscious of your life, of your decisions, of your ideas. If you do that, your life will be easier, my life will be easier, and that person's life will be easier. Good luck. I think you know where is the like button, I think you also know where is the comment section. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, please write them in the comments below. Except for that, if you want to watch more videos about social topic, about self-development, about my development and about development of the channel, subscribe to the channel. And except for that, I see you on Thursday.